I'm sure you're like me and have a couple of old school or daycare photos lying around. Well, let me help you document those stories using cute paper, ink, and stamps from close to my heart. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor from scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. In today's video, I am playing along with Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, Series 12, and I am running a little bit behind. So this is actually a sketch from day 6 from Sarah Davies. I am loving the little element down in the corner, and then of course the grouping of the small photos in the top left. So I have these two photos of our middle son as well as some Mixin papers. Mix-ins are just a fancy way of saying they match pretty much anything in the current Close to My Heart catalog, or in this case even old photos from 20 years ago. I am just pulling out a couple of these patterns and putting them up next to my photos, looking closely at which patterns actually complement my photos and just kind of help me tell the story, yet keeping them the focus of the scrapbook layout, because that is what is most important. So there is this kind of orange color, we call it papaya. I'm really liking how that plays on his orange plaid shirt. And then of course I've pulled out the harbor. I'm loving this wood grain, but the back side is actually a toffee color. So these are full sheets of these papers, but I actually have a little stack of scraps from this Mixin collection as well. And a sketch such as this is really good to use your scraps. So usually I cut the zip strip off, but on this base page, I am leaving that zip strip down at the very bottom. You can barely tell that it's on there, but at the end of this video, when you actually see the still shots, you'll be able to tell. So I have matted loosely those photos on a piece of Seabrook pattern paper, and then here's where I'm bringing in that papaya stars, and then of course my favorite toffee. Now that toffee paper kind of has a tweed or a canvas texture to it, not real texture but visual texture, and then I'm pulling out a few zip strips. Now if you remember the sketch, again, the photos were just kind of grouped together, and then they just had a bunch of layers as well as scallops, stars, clusters, embellishment clusters. So I'm just trying to mimic that. And again, the zip strips, and then I've pulled out a vanilla frame that is going to go behind one of the photos. Now, one of my favorite papers from this collection is the harbor. So I've gone ahead and I've cut a square of that, and then here is that vanilla frame. I really want to elongate it, so I'm just going to cut it in half, and I'm actually going to play with that a little bit. At first, I think that I want it to just frame one of the photos, but I end up moving it. Now, ink distressing is something I do often if you are new here. I just think that it adds a dimension and a depth to the paper as well as paper tearing. So I'm going to go ahead and tear the edges of this toffee paper, and then go ahead and ink up the edges of these two zip strips. Now this one I love. It's the star one. I actually am going to cut that one apart. And then this one is from the Seabrook. So it's very subtle, but again, it just gives that little extra oomph, I guess you could say. Can you say oomph in scrapbooking? I think you can. So I'm just going to start adhering these layers together. Now, when you have layers that are offset and then straight, you want to make your darkest layer straight. So keep in mind that harbor piece, that is what, when I start adhering these down, that is going to be my straight edge. So you see where I've elongated that frame. Here is where I'm going to kind of separate it and put it behind both photos. Again, that gap, don't worry about that gap, because that gap will be hidden with the embellishment clusters. So I'm going to get those adhered down, and I am going to play with this frame probably a little bit more than I should. When I turned those photos over, I noticed my handwriting on the back, so I've just jotted that down on a post-it note. So when I go to add the date, I'll have that readily available, and I won't have to rely on my memory. So while I get all of these little extra strips tacked down, here is a wonderful opportunity for me to remind you that if you are liking this video so far, go ahead and leave me a comment and a thumbs up. Share with your friends if you think they'd like my channel. And then also, if you are new here and haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video, which I do have all month of June, the 30 days of sketches. I am not playing along every day, but I am trying to post a couple of videos a week. And then of course, I usually throw in another video or two here and there. So again, that little bottom element that I mentioned when I went over the sketch that I loved, stay tuned because that actually is going to become one of my favorite little aspects of this layout. Now I am at a retreat sitting down. I usually don't sit down and scrapbook, so you might have noticed that I stood up, and then I'm going to pull out my T-ruler to make sure that I get this harbor piece straight. Remember what I said, when you have offset mats, you really want the darkest one because that is the mat that your eye is going to be drawn to. You want it to be straight. And then here is those photos. I'm going to add 3D foam tape to the back of those. I'm not going to quite adhere them down yet, but I definitely want to get them kind of in place so I can start tucking more zip strips underneath. So that paprika zip strip, you saw that I cut 3 stars at the bottom. I'm going to cut it a couple of more times. Now you might notice that I am cutting them in odds. That is just something that scrapbookers do. I think that there is a proven science to it. I'm a number person, so I am just literally drawn to odd numbers, even way before scrapbooking, which I started in my teens. But you'll just notice that I've got the 3s and then the 5 over toward that left side of the layout. So I'm happy with the placement of those stars. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the backing of my 3D foam tape and get these photos adhered down. Now, keep in mind, granted, like I already mentioned, those photos are crooked, but the anchor, that dark harbor cardstock, is what is keeping your eye focused and what is making it seem like everything is straight. Now, I did add another piece of torn toffee up at the top. Now, this tear actually has the white tear to it, as well as that bottom right has the white tear to it. I am going to pull out the Hey Handsome sticker sheet. I hope that you guys got the Hey Handsome before it sold out. It's absolutely wonderful. If you have boys, grandsons, fathers, husbands, whatever, or if you just have those people in your life that just are drawn to darker, deeper colors as well as camping, this collection is perfect for all of those things. Now here is where that little bottom grouping quickly became my favorite. So there are these little stickers that spell out Hey Handsome. I mean, hey, that is the name of the collection. So I am just peeling those off the sticker sheet with my tweezers and just attaching them down in that bottom right corner. Now, this title is pretty long and I want to leave that corner just little as it can be. So you see I stacked those and I really end up really liking it. And then I'm trying to pull out just. Now, I decided not to, but now in editing this video, I really wish I would have left that. It was kind of bold and it just kind of added to the title. But this camera is going to actually get used instead of the just, and I think that its boldness will do just what the just did. Like, how many times can I say just? So I've got that adhered down with some 3D foam tape, and then I've got this little end of a tag that I've used on another layout, and it is going to be perfect to put my date on right to the left of those photos. Now, you probably can't see all the layers here, but wait until the end of this video when I show some photos, or you can check out my Instagram and my Facebook and just the layers that are in this little photo grouping. Absolutely love them. So I've written the date with a journaling pen, and then I am going to come in with some more star stickers, and then I, in true Katy fashion, am about to change the whole look of this layout by one little simple detail. It's usually stamping, but today it is not. I think I'm going to mat this layout on a solid piece of cardstock. So I'm just trying out toffee, black, and charcoal. Although I really like the charcoal, I ended up really liking the black, again, just to kind of play on that camera, those stars, and that title. In order to do this, I am cutting off 3/8 of an inch from the left. I can't from the right because of that little grouping at the bottom. And then I'm doing the same at the top. Again, I can't from the bottom because of that little grouping. And then I am going to lay it down on this black cardstock. I keep looking and looking, and it just needs something. So instead of a white gel pen, which I've been known to do in this situation, I am actually going to pull out my stylus and my sandpaper, and I am going to sand a dry embossed line on this cardstock. So again, I'm at a retreat. I don't have my scoring board, but I can use my cutter. I'm going to pull out a tool or a couple of tools and decide which one I want to use. I end up going with my bone folder. And so all you do is you make a dry score line onto your black cardstock. This only works with cardstock that has the white core, which is close to my heart cardstock. Absolutely love it for this option. And then I am just turning it 90 degrees and scoring the other edge. Now remember, only 2 edges of this cardstock are going to show. And then I'm going to pull out this little sanding block that we got from the Hostess retreat. And you guys just watch how this white line pops as I sand this. Again, it's kind of like embossing, you know, like everybody say, ooh, ah. I absolutely love to sand embossed lines. Now there's no need for me to have all this cardstock, and plus I'm at a retreat. I may need that black cardstock for photo mats on another layout. So I went ahead and gutted this black cardstock, and then I am just going to attach that prepared base on top of this little sliver. I like to do this often, not only to save cardstock, I mean I have enough, but it also cuts down on the bulk of my albums. So that is pretty much the layout. Again, here are all of those layers. Absolutely love them. I will leave links down below to any of the products that I used. Unfortunately, Hey Handsome is not available any longer. And then I'll also leave links down below to Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches Facebook group, as well as the playlist that we have been adding all of our videos to. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and you guys have a wonderful week.